Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It means we need to talk about some news in the world of professional wrestling, as well as a little bit of Friday Night SmackDown tonight as well. But boy, oh boy, do we have a fun panel with me today. You guys can see them to my... what would it be on camera? To my right, everything's inverted here. But we have first of all the Tuesday Night Delight, who's pretty much here every day. How are you, Shad?
Yes, sir. Man, I'm glad to be here on a Friday. It has been a eventful week in pro wrestling. I feel like all the shows have given us something to talk about, and we top it off with SmackDown. So we get to talk a little bit about SmackDown and some pretty conversational topics that you picked for today. I'm excited to talk, man.
Absolutely. It's been a very interesting week when it's come to news. We have number one Superfly in the comments. Shout out to you. And we got 26 WWE in the comments as well. Shout out to you as well. But also joining us today, we have Jordy in the bank. How are you today, Jordy?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. As I said, I'm a little bit injured. I'm getting old now. I'm 30 years old and the body's starting to pack in on me. But I'm all right. I've had a couple of painkillers, so I'm here for the podcast. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Especially, like Shad said, these are some great topics, man. I'm really excited to talk about it, especially the first one. But I'll tell you what. You know what? This is a quick thing. I've been here for 6 months now. I realised that. I completely missed that. The first one was on the 5th of March. So we're now into September. So yeah, half a year of me. And I ain't stopping anytime soon.
It's been a pleasure to have you.
We don't celebrate half birthdays here, buddy. All right.
Yeah, we do.
Get to us when you get it 12 months in, all right?
I've got a while to wait for that.
I'm messing around.
We got Wrestle Peak in the comments over on Instagram spamming say my name. Well, we will say your name. Will you appear? Are you Joe Hendry? That is the question. But let's get straight into the first topic. Women's mid-card titles in WWE. The Undertaker called for this a little while back. Bianca Belair's jumped on the train this week and said we need to introduce them. The women's division needs to be showcased more, which is something which we've been saying here at Wrestling Republic over and over and over and over again. So I am 100% behind the idea of women's mid-card titles on the main roster. But the big question which people are saying is, should it be one mid-card title across both brands, or should it be one mid-card title on both brands? I want to get your thoughts. Shad, I'll go to you first.
Okay, so here's my thing, right? I am perfectly fine with the implement of adding a mid-card title for the women's division. Obviously, it mirrors what the men have. There are mid-card titles for the men on the main roster. We even have it on NXT with the North American Women's Championship. So you make it and you cover grounds for that. My only issue is, are we adding it because we're lazy at booking? Part of it feels like that when we talk about adding TV time, giving a reason to create storylines. Why can't we just do that in general? Like, I've seen multiple male storylines, surface around not having a title. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, Sheamus and Butch. Like, there's plenty of feuds, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, that don't have anything to do with a title. I feel like you can still do that for the women as well. So I feel like, and even with the tag team title division, you can make it more important, create, actual tag team divisions. I feel like it is a little bit of a crutch because the women's booking is pretty, a bit lazy on the main roster. I'm gonna keep it real. I can't sugarcoat stuff. They can do a lot better, and it's not a star power issue because there's a lot of women that are bigger stars than men that are getting ample amount of storylines and TV time. But that's neither here or there. If we are to do it, I do like the idea of it just because it makes it, if it gives them a reason to book them better, fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. your question was, should we have multiple ones for each show? And I'm going to say yes. Let's do it all out like that way. Let's build up women's divisions on Raw and SmackDown, and let's get them an actual good amount of time. You got a ton of women on NXT that can get called up as well to fill out Raw and SmackDown. You know, I don't know what the hours of the shows are going to be, if it's 2 or 3, whatever it may be. But if you're going to give one to Raw or one to SmackDown, give it to both of them, man. I feel like a Intercontinental Women's title or a USA Women's title would be great to have. So if you're going to do it, let's go all the way and do it, because I think there is a embarrassment of riches of talent in the women's division, and you can really create a strong mid-card women's division. Like if you had one on Raw, I think Lyra Valkyria would be a phenomenal inaugural champion, right? Just how great that she had of a title reign at NXT. I think her as a champ on a Raw would be great. SmackDown, Chelsea Green.
Yes.
We've been waiting for her to get some sort of title, something that is making us appreciate the work she's done. I think she would be a great champion, even like a Mia Yims, whoever it may be. But if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And if we're doing it just to cover our behinds for bad booking, let's book better.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Shad. And Soul's got a really interesting comment here that I actually want to touch upon, because Soul, I agreed with you, and still to an element do, where he's saying just don't be the male belts with white straps, make them unique and don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Now that was a perspective which I did agree with. But quite a few female wrestlers this week have commented on it and said about how they might dream of having the Intercontinental Championship because of the history with it. And that's why they might do it.
I agree. I was gonna ask exactly the same thing, because I think there's no harm in having it a different design, but it still being an Intercontinental belt. It doesn't have to be
that's a great idea.
white. It doesn't have to be a cut and stick white strap. It can be a different design, but it still says Intercontinental on it.
Yeah,
I like that idea. I really like that.
So it could even go back to an older design and bring an older design back, reimagined. Do you know what I mean? Especially there's literally one with a white strap. You know what I mean? So we could go for that one.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
I think go for it.
Lyra is IC champ with the eagle. I like it. Let her fly with it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a great shout, Jordy. It truly is. And before I pass it to you, I do want to touch on this one comment, right, from Numero 1 Superfly, because I usually agree with Numero 1 Superfly on almost everything, but I am going to disagree with him on this one, because he is saying that if they introduce women's mid-card belts, they need to get rid of the women's tag ones, right? I don't agree at all, because my standpoint is if the men have it, why don't the women have it? They have enough women to be able to do that, right? It's just bad booking. To Shad's point, it's simply bad booking.
Get rid of one of the men's. Get rid of one of the men's. Don't get rid of the one women.
Exactly.
The men's got 2. Get rid of one of them. And just have like unified. Look, I will hold my hands up and say I wanted the tag belt split, and I will also hold my hands up now and say they might as well not have done it. I wanted them split because I thought it was going to build the tag divisions. It's not. People are just holding them and doing nothing. So it's just like I get rid of one of them, and it did mean a little bit more, I guess, when they were unified, and you knew that once they became tag champions, it built possibilities for further feuds because they were going to go onto the other show. So I'd say just unify the men's again, have 2 sets of tag belts, one for the men, one for the women, and bring these titles in.
Yeah, 100. I couldn't agree more, Jordy. But do you want to see women's mid-card titles in WWE? And if so, one on each brand?
Yes, one on each brand. And this is why I realized that I'd been with Wrestling Republic for 6 months, because when I first sent an email over to Wrestling Republic to apply and to say I want to be on the podcast, one of the posts from myself that I sent over was saying that I wanted women's mid-card titles. This was back on the 30th of January. And I said then, there's an incredible surge of talent. People like Liv, obviously she's gone on to win a world title now. Trinity returned, Jade Cargill's debut, so it must have been just after the Rumble. Names like Chelsea, Zelina, Tiffany, who's obviously Money in the Bank now, already shining. It's about time that we introduce these mid-card titles. And how many months down the line, and I still stand by everything that I said. And it kind of shows itself. There's names in there that have gone on to do bigger and better things. And I just think, in terms of the booking, I do agree with what you're saying, Shad, in terms of if it's to cover lazy booking. But what I also will say is, them mid-card titles are quite often, they build and that they make us care about the characters. The where the foundations get grown on the kind of main roster. You might spin into having kind of meaningful feuds after that, but I don't know. I feel like it's a way to get the audience used to these characters. And I just think it's strange that in the women's division you either go in for the world title or there's nothing else to go for. I just think it's odd. I just think it completely messes up the dynamic of the division. And I'm not saying the WWE women's division is necessarily awfully booked, but I just think when you bring in that mid-card title, it gives opportunities for things to spin off. Because like you said, Braun and Bronson, that is a great feud. It's not got a title, but they were both going for the Intercontinental title, and that's why this feud has come to be. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it does have relevance, even if it is because they're going in a number one contenders match and the non-title feud spins off from that. So I just think it's about time, and I'm glad to see people like Bianca saying it, because I think her kind of influence is huge. So I just hope it happens sooner rather than later. It might even already be in the pipeline, and that might be why Bianca said it. You never know. A lot of things aren't accidents in pro wrestling. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And I've actually right here got the message that you sent when you applied, of you saying 33 weeks ago, in the 30th of January, that you want to see women's mid-card belts. And I think, well, I hope at least, that it is going to happen very, very soon indeed, because it is about time. It's long overdue, like both of you guys have touched upon. But talking about women's wrestling, Orange Cassidy spoke about it this week, and he said that he feels very strongly that the AEW women's division right now is not just the best right now, but the best women's division in the history of professional wrestling. Shad, do you agree with Mr. OC?
Orange. You are like one of my favorite AEW wrestlers, brother. What are we talking about right now? Let's break it down to two things. One, let me give them their flowers first, because I think this is the best AEW women's division that they have ever had. And I do think the division is one of the best in professional wrestling. You got the likes of a Mercedes Moné, a Hikaru Shida, a Toni Storm, a Mariah May, as well as young up-and-comers like Queen Aminata, Sky Blue, Anna Jay. Like, you have depth throughout the entire division, not to mention ROH with one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, Athena. But I wouldn't even say they are the best women's division in professional wrestling at the moment. We know where that goes, and that goes to the Tuesday night. That goes to NXT. NXT may be one of the deepest women's divisions in the history of professional wrestling. Like, in all history, there is so much depth in that division. It is crazy to think, from the top of the list with a Roxanne Perez, you got a Julia, Stephanie Vaquer coming in, you got a Tatum Paxley, you got a Kalani Jordan, you got a Jada Parker. Like, their women's division is so deep. I think they kind of wiped the floor with what AEW is at the moment. It's not close. We're talking miles ahead better than AEW. Besides, I'll give you a Mercedes and Athena. After that, I'm taking Roxanne Perez over any woman on AEW's women's division. I'm taking Julia over any woman on AEW women's division. Like, it's just not that close. And if we're talking about history, come on, like, this is crazy. We're totally ignoring like the mid 2000 division, the women's revolution, you know, even a lot of like what came across the black and gold era of NXT when we had Bianca, we had Rhea Ripley, we had Io Sky. They're not the best women's division of all time. And I wouldn't even say they're the best women's division at the moment. I think they're one of the stronger women divisions at the moment. I think they've been booked much better than they have beforehand. But to say that they're better than NXT in this current juncture of time, that is an asinine statement. And I know he's going to say it because he works there. Those are his co-workers. I get it, OC. It's perfectly fine. But you must be too busy focused on your job where you can't even turn the TV on Tuesday nights. Like, I don't understand how you could even, how his mind could fathom to say that. He's just coming out here saying false statements. I think I need to call Tony Khan and we need to send a random drug test to the Orange Cassidy household. I think something's in that orange juice, man. A little too much champagne and the mimosa madness going on in his brain right now.
Oh gosh, I mean, Soul's mentioning that as well, the fact that he works for the company, and that's a good point. But he kept saying, but I genuinely feel really strongly about this, and he was getting passionate about it. So I genuinely do think Orange Cassidy meant what he was saying. But also to your point, Shad, he knows them, he's close to them, so you are going to be biased even if you're trying not to be.
But even to like what numero one Superfly is saying in regards to star power, what besides Mercedes, what Mercedes, you got Willow. Okay, I give those are 2 stars, but I truthfully think NXT has they've created, the thing is this, we're not going to give them as much credit because people move up to go to the main roster. Yeah. But you talk about within the last like year, 2 years, Tiffany Stratton's a bigger star than almost every woman in AEW that's not named Mercedes Moné at the current juncture of time. Like, she's a bigger star than Willow.
Mariah May's up there.
She's a bigger star. She's a bigger star than Mariah May.
Way right
bigger
now.
Star.
She is right now. But I've just from the outside as well, not defending what OC thinks. I agree with you, Shad. I completely agree. But I think there's a good selection of women's wrestlers there, like Toni Storm, Mariah May, Mercedes, Willow. Like, it's Britt Baker. Like, there's a strong on a main card. I don't know. Maybe you're right, Shad. Maybe he's just not got the time to turn on NXT on a Tuesday.
Toni Storm is a good one too. I will give her respect in regards to being a star. But like, I'm telling you, like, the NXT is it being a development brand. I feel like we'll never give it its full appreciation until we keep seeing the factory work where these women become stars when they get on the main roster. And we're gonna see that I have a high confidence level that we are going to be getting at least 2 superstars every seasonal year coming out of NXT. Roxanne Perez being the next one, Jada Parker being one, Julia being one, Vaquera ending up being one. Like, I think the formula that they currently have out there at the PC and what they're doing with what Sean is doing over there, like, it's not everyone becomes a star, but I think they're gonna get us a couple superstars every seasonal year, and I that's why this is why WWE is the factory. This is why people could leave, and they're still gonna keep the engine running just because they know how to create stars.
I think it's a genius move as well. Like, if I was Shawn Michaels, like, you can't really contend with what the men are doing. Like, it's like WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? Can you really contend? But can you look at how the women's division's being booked and say we can be the best at that? We can literally be the best women's division in pro wrestling right now.
But
let's take it. Like,
we talked about something else in the last topic, and this is the most important thing too. Talent is talent. Booking is also a major thing, and there isn't a wrestling show that books their women's division better than NXT, and that's everywhere in North America. Like, not AEW, not the main roster, not TNA, not MLW. Like, nobody books their women's division better than NXT books their women's division, and It's something special, man. Like they always NXT. Now that I think about it, they have the best women's division darn near all the time. Even like from when we're talking about Black and Gold with Sasha Banks and Bailey and the four horsewomen, right? And then we're talking
Yeah.
about Rhea, Bianca, Io Sky, and then we're talking about Tiffany Stratton, and Lyra and all them. Like they tend to just tell you it comes in waves, man. It's gonna keep happening.
Yeah, no, it is true. But to be honest with you, I mean, if we're talking purely talent, I don't think it's enough. If we're just talking the talent in a division, I cannot even see an argument which isn't WWE's main roster. I can't see it.
That's
But
true.
when you factor in booking, to your point, that's why NXT always seems like it's got the best women's division. It's because it's the one place where women are booked well. That's why it's so, it's levels above the main roster and AEW pretty much permanently. I'm a big Hikaru Shida fan. She cannot be considered a bigger star than half of NXT's top stars. No way about it. And I'm a big Shida fan. But DCX Warlord is saying that he would love to see Chelsea Green be a special guest referee for Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce, the battle of the former NWA World Heavyweight Champions. Well, we're about to get into that, but that will certainly be fun. But before we do, I need to talk to you guys about something else which is going to be fun, and that is a stream tomorrow on Etsy. Now, if you guys don't know what Etsy is, let me tell you a bit about them, because here at Wrestling Republic, we're now working with Etsy, right? And basically, it's an app where you can it's kind of like this, right? You go and you watch a stream, but the difference is you can join in, right? People can essentially tag in and out. We bring people on screen, they come in and they talk, and we're going to do calls every now and then on their app. Other wrestling creators are too. Now, tomorrow, Ant University is going to be hosting one on there, and we're going to be in there too. Myself and Clark are both going to be there. So all you need to do to come in, join, and you'll be able to come on screen as well for a little bit, is go to and you can have your camera off or on, that's up to you, but you can be sure if you want that be sure. All you need to do is you need to download the Etsy app on the App Store or the Google Play Store and head to the upcoming stream section and you will see it. You can click there and you can join now, so you'll be in it tomorrow. It's tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time. That's 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Completely free. Just head to it tomorrow. Download the Etsy app. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about the new TV deals, all of that stuff. But yeah, just head there, download the app, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And you guys can engage with us as well. It'll be really fun, and we're really excited about it. It's a great brand new platform. It's being built up as we speak, and it's a way to connect. It's the way to connect creators to their audiences, and it's just absolutely brilliant. I am loving it, and I am looking forward to the stream tomorrow, so make sure you guys check that out. Once again, you can download the Etsy app on the App Store or the Google Play Store and head to the upcoming stream section to get the link. But now let's talk about the Raw and SmackDown general managers. Let's talk about Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, because both of them have begun teasing a little bit of a match between each other. Now, both of them have said that they're not going to push for it, but if it happens, well, it doesn't seem like they're going to be against it, and I, for one, would absolutely love it. I would love it if it was to happen, but Jordy, do you think it will?
I hope it does. Look, Nick, Adam, you guys don't need to push for it because I'll push for it for you, and I don't think I'll be the only one. The moment that Nick Aldis became SmackDown GM, I'm not going to say I wanted that to happen, but I just thought, that's interesting. Like, when was the last time that we were in a situation where SmackDown and Raw GMs could actually probably put on a fairly good match together? Because this isn't going to be like, like Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not going to be like a gimmick. It'll be a proper match. Like, I was doing a little bit of research myself because I know they decorated. I know they both did well in NWA. So I just had a look at a couple of stats. And Nick has won he's 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, whereas Adam's 5-time. But obviously, Nick has done a fair bit in TNA and other stuff, and they've both done other stuff as well. But I feel like that's the things that have been brought up is the time in NWA. Now, look, I think there's room for it. I posted a comment on the Wrestling Republic post to bring back bragging rights. I am joking a little bit because that was one of the most random PLEs I've ever seen. But I just think there's something in it, and a war of the brands, a battle of the brands, and there potentially could be a SmackDown versus Raw game that comes at the end of this that could be just kind of, like secondary, and that's just like collateral damage essentially. And I'm all up for that as well. Like, I think it could make money. Obviously we've been seeing a lot of internal, as wrestling shows should be, internal feuds within the brands. I can't remember the last time we had a good old SmackDown versus Raw. Like, I'm up for it. It's not going to be anytime soon. War Games is coming up. There's too many possibilities for that. But like, I don't know, SmackDown versus Raw, War Games, if they book it right, like, I think there's room for it somewhere down the line. And I just think it'd be a good, fun feud. The idea of Chelsea Green special guest referee kind of makes it that bit comedic, but I do think that would be very funny as well. So I have to say I'm all for it.
Absolutely, it would be fun, and yeah, that is a great shout.
When's the last time Pierce wrestled?
A long time ago,
like over a decade, right?
Must be, yeah, because he was 24. Was it 2014 or 2015? He was the security.
Yeah,
I think it was
2014. Yeah. He retired December 21st, 2014. So yeah, 10 years ago.
Aldis, I know Aldis can still wrestle. It ain't been that long ago since he's wrestled. Funny thing is, he might be a better wrestler than a lot of people. On the SmackDown roster.
He is. He's an absolutely terrific wrestler, but we've got an absolutely terrific comment here. In fact, it's one of my favorite comments we've ever had. DCX Warlord goes, "I'm not gonna lie, I thought Adam Pearce was Billy Corgan."
Fair play.
Oh, that is absolutely gold.
Funny.
Numero 1 Superfly says, if they book Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce, book it the most Vince Russo way possible. Part of it being Chelsea being the referee. Oh, I actually wouldn't hate that. I would not hate that, Numero 1. That would be funny.
Numero 1 is definitely a Nitro child. He's definitely got to be around my age, because he was all on the Shane McMahon buying.
He's still sticking by that one, by the way. The events happened, we're still sticking on it. But absolutely, I genuinely love that idea. D6 Warlord and Numero 1 Superfly, you guys can book this storyline. I want to see what you guys do with it, because that is that will be absolutely gold. But now let's talk a little bit of Friday Night SmackDown. Will it be Friday Night SmackDown? I don't know. We haven't seen my boys, the Yes Boys, Pretty Deadly for a little while, so hopefully we see them tonight. But let me break down what's officially announced for the show. We firstly have an intense exchange between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns when they met at Georgia Tech this past weekend. We've also got Bayley and Naomi teaming up to take on Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton in a high-stakes match. It's a match which is quite confusing, but basically, whoever pins Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton gets the title shot, the other one doesn't. So they'll be competing to pin them, and then if they lose and one of them gets pinned, whoever gets pinned has to leave SmackDown. It's a little bit of a headache. And also, interestingly, on WWE.com, it no longer mentions the loser leave SmackDown thing, although that could just be because they had to write an entire paragraph to explain the first stipulation, so maybe they couldn't be bothered to write a second one. But LA Knight will also be defending the United States Championship against Andrade. That one is going to be exciting. Plus, Giovanni Vinci will get a second try against Apollo Crews. Will he last longer than 4 seconds this time? That's the big question. Or will it be 3 seconds? That would certainly be a turn up for the Bucks. But the question which I have for both of you guys is, firstly, will Andrade dethrone LA Knight? And secondly, who will get the title opportunity against Nia Jax? Or will someone, and if so, who, be forced out of the blue brand? Jordy, I'm going to take it straight to you first.
Is someone going to be forced off SmackDown? That's a tricky one. I don't know if it's a great idea necessarily, but I think it's going to probably go the other way. I think someone's maybe going to get a pin on Tiffy. I think possibly it'll be Nia's fault that Tiffy gets pinned, the title shot will happen, and Tiffy might cash in. I'm hoping that's the way it goes because I just can't see one of them losing. I don't think one of them two leaving SmackDown's a great idea right now. I think they maybe need more women on that roster. But obviously, the one thing that I will also say is that the Liv and Rhea feud looks like it's going to come to an end at Bad Blood. So there could be a potential title feud in there for someone. It might not be a bad thing, you know what I mean? I might just lie down and let them pin me. But the one thing that I find interesting about what they've announced so far, so am I right in thinking what we're going to see with Roman and Cody is going to be like a recorded segment?
Yeah, it is. At Georgia Tech.
When was the last time Cody wasn't on the show? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I think he's advertised to be there too, though. So maybe they do something in person.
Right. Maybe they'll have a surprise main event segment. You know what I mean? Similar to what we did last week. But no, I'm certainly excited for the show. What was the first question you asked me? I got sidetracked by the second one of someone leaving SmackDown.
United States Championship, LA Knight or Andrade?
You know what I'm going to say at that. LA Knight, yeah, he's going to retain. I was very shocked when Andrade got this shot, by the way. I really was. But I do think Carmelo might be the man to beat LA Knight somewhere down the line. So I'm kind of happy about it. But I don't want Carmelo to get involved in this match. I do want LA Knight to win it, to beat him clean. So yeah, that's where I am for that.
The thing is, I don't know if it'll be in the match or after the match, but I 1000% think Carmelo is going to take out Andrade because I don't think they're done. They've had 5 matches. I think they're doing another 2 or
Game
something.
6, it's going to be a situation. It's very basketball in it. It's very playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's very Carmelo Hayes. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Oh, it's going to be a bit of a
Carmelo
bizarre
Anthony doesn't get it done in the playoffs. So hopefully Carmelo Hayes does better.
I'll pretend I got that reference. We got a couple of comments
just laugh and nod.
DCX Warlord says, didn't Adam Pearce become #1 contender for Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble 2021? He did, and he faked an injury to get out of it. It was very funny. And I wanted to see Pearce versus Roman Reigns, so I was very, very upset. I was all hyped. I had the graphics of his last match versus what it was going to be at the Rumble, and it never happened. He faked an injury, the coward. Numero 1 Superfly says, part of me wants Naomi to pin Nia thanks to an accidental assist from Tiffany. As for Giovanni, he will last longer than 4 seconds. He will last 5 seconds. I think it's got to be shorter. I think you've got to go like 3 seconds or something. And maybe then the next time you do it, he like goes in for a move straight away, straight into a submission, instantly taps out in 2 seconds. Like, I think just every week we need to see if you can do a beat the clock challenge on Giovanni Vinci.
We need the record to remain the record from the greatest women's wrestler of all time, Aaliyah.
I still can't believe that happened. Punch Card, I want to get your thoughts. Who will be the challenger, if anyone, for Nia Jax? And also, will LA Knight still be holding that US gold by the end of the night?
Okay, first and foremost, let me talk about one thing before I answer your questions. I'm excited for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns because I love things that have to do with a territory. Bad Blood being in Georgia, Roman Reigns being a former Georgia Tech football player. I'm super interested to see what dynamic is going to happen. I'm a big sports guy. I like it being kind of like a situation of, 2 guys, 2 star players wanting to be a guy and trying to find ways to work together. Hey man, let's get some Oklahoma drills in, see if Roman still got it in them. But I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And I think it's definitely going to be like how they're going to film it. I expect it to be something incredible. So hype for that. First question, tag team match. Last week, I said on the Saturday show that I would probably book Bayley to eat the pin and have her go to Raw. Go to NXT first, do a little stint in NXT, then go to Raw just because I think it could be beneficial for her. I think she's accomplished a lot on SmackDown. Um, she could kind of use a little bit of a not more of a repackage, but a new setting. Going to work in NXT, working with like a Roxanne, a Julia, and then going to Raw and then feuding with whoever's the champion there, whether it be Rhea, whether it be Liv Morgan. I think that could be a good fit for her. Also, at the standpoint, her old friends over there, maybe they can, get the gang back together. I don't think people want that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think, like Jordy said, they need some stars on the roster. If I had to make my guess, I think our match at Bad Blood is going to be Nia Jax versus the most underappreciated woman superstar on SmackDown, the Queen Naomi. I think this is an opportunity to get Naomi a title match and give her something very important to do on SmackDown. She is someone that I I can't fathom how talented she is. I think she is an enigma, a great ball of energy, is a character that you love to root for. The fans always love her, but very underrated in the ring. I think she has incredible athleticism. I think her little excursion to Impact TNA taught her a little bit more since she's returned. And I think her and Nia Jax is a match that I would be very interested in. I think, with all the storyline tied to it, with Tiffany Stratton too, it's also a good person to potentially cash in on that Bad Blood just because they unfortunately put Naomi in situations like that. But I think her getting a title match would be a great one. So I'm going to pick Naomi to get the pin on Tiffany or now whoever it may be. She's going to get the win, and I think she's going to be the number one contender just because I don't really want to see Bayley and Naomi again. Not Carmelo Hayes, Andrade versus LA Knight. Super excited for this match. I think Andrade has been doing some of his best work in a little while since returning back to WWE. I think he's shown why he's one of the best, high flyer in ring wrestlers out there. And I think he's going to get a great match with LA Knight. I think LA Knight's another guy who I think we've been so enamored by how great of a character that he is. I mean, he be having some good matches. Him and Logan Paul was a really good match, and I think Andrade is like 500 times better of a professional wrestler than Logan Paul. So I think they're about to have a banger tonight, but I don't think it's his time to be the champion just yet. I think LA Knight retains, and I do think Carmelo Hayes finds his way back in this because we do got to go best of 7. I think it is a basketball reference, so there'll be a way for him to come back. But yeah, I got LA Knight winning, and I got Naomi winning, and yeah, man. Hopefully Georgia Tech gets inspired for their game tomorrow. Seeing Roman Reigns, back on TV.
I'm going to be honest with you. I always thought it was weird when WWE and AEW did this best of 7 series. As I didn't know until just then that it's a basketball thing, and suddenly it makes a lot more sense.
The young Bucks and Lucha Bros. They had the
that's
why they
and
had
Cesaro
the reference.
Sheamus too. I never knew that was why. That's crazy to me.
Just one thing quickly, gents. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this. 42 minutes ago, Nick Aldis, WWE actually on Instagram, they released that the tag team match is going to be a tornado tag team match.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
That's entertaining, but I think it's a bit more random.
Yeah, exactly. That pinning who pins it, it kind of makes it a little bit more exciting now. So I'm glad they've announced that.
Otherwise, you just wouldn't tag in, would you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The craziest thing would be if Tiffany just cashes in, knocks out Nia, and knocks out Naomi and Bayley and pins Nia. That'd be the biggest monkey.
She's gonna try that, isn't she? She's gonna try it and then cover it up next week. But it's the most obvious upcoming heel turn ever. Then surely Nia knows. That's why I do fear it's gonna be a failed cash in.
I think it's a face
so
turn.
obvious.
I think it's a face turn. I don't think it's a heel turn. I think there's little moments where Nia is almost like bullying Tiffy, and she's playing this like, whoa, okay. I think when Tiffy turns on Nia, I think they'll start cheering her. I think she'll become a face. I don't
And
know.
I think Nia will retain as well. I think it's going to be like she'll draw her in. And
How funny would it be if she hit her with a briefcase and Nia just stands there like,
Oh my god.
now
no
what?
sells it.
Yeah.
But it's just so obvious, the turn, and even Nia Jax has referenced it on television, that I'm kind of like, I genuinely think that Nia Jax knows it's coming, so he's just letting Tiffy, use it for the time being, and then as soon as it's not beneficial anymore, and as soon as Tiffy tries anything, Nia will be ready for it. First women's failed cash-in. I'm sorry, Shad, but I don't think it's going to be Tiffy time.
I think she's gonna be champ, but we can agree to disagree.
But that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for commenting along with us throughout. We will be back the same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you, Shad. Thank you, Jordy, for joining me here today. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.